Hi everybody, welcome to Kelly's Kitchen. What are we cooking up today? So today I wanted to make, I really want some comfort meals this week. So I looked up some casseroles that would just kind of fill that spot. And it is October, things are getting a little cooler. Hockey is starting for us here. Hockey is starting. So many of us need like a warm dish that fills those bellies and gives us lots of energy for the day. Sorry. After our busy day. This is for supper, not breakfast. So I decided I wanted to try one of our new seasonings and make a comfort meal. So I am making baked tortellini. That's this kind of pasta. It has, oh my gosh, that light's in the way. Sorry about that. It's hard to see. You can buy this at your local store. Sorry, checking the light out. It's not the best to see. Anyway, you buy this pasta at the store. You can just make it up in a boiling water and add tomato sauce to it or an Alfredo sauce to it. It makes a great cooked meal. But today we're going to add it to ground beef and a beef stroganoff spices. So all you have to do with this is add it to boiling water. It calls for 2 liters. I didn't have a big enough pan to put 2 liters in. So we're just going to wash it because it will foam up. So these are just like little tiny, I don't know what you call them. It's like ravioli, but it's tortillo pasta. And inside there's sometimes a flavored cheese, meat. This one has meat. Which actually, I got to tell you, when I went to the store, I never thought to look to see what was in it, but I only had one choice. But a cheese one would be really good in this. So the other thing I needed for this was I needed 1 can of tomato sauce. Well, I was blown away. This was almost $3 for a little 14-ounce can of tomatoes. As you know, I love my Mariana sauce, so I put 2 cans of Mariana sauce. No, I didn't. 2 cans of tomatoes in my pot for $3 and added 2 tablespoons of the seasoning. Now you can replace this with a 1.5 cups of that homemade sauce. That's what I'm going to do. Or pasta sauce. If you have pasta sauce on hand and you'd rather use that, a 1.5 cups of that sauce is what you're going to add to your ground beef. So I've got my pot on boiling water so I can add my pasta shells to it. So once it comes to boil, I will add the shells. And in my frying pan, I heated it up. You can add 2 tablespoons of oil. I don't add oil, not when I'm putting ground beef in there. I find my ground beef, even though I buy lean ground beef, it's got a little bit of fat in there that will cook it. I don't add any to it. That is everyone's preference on how you want to do it. And then I like to use my meat separator to make it really tiny and thin to little tiny balls so that when you're eating it, you're not eating chunks of meat. So my beef is cooked. And we are going to add that 1.5 cups of pasta sauce. It's the first thing I'm going to do. So yes, I am going to have lots of pasta sauce left. But what I will do with this pasta sauce is I will put it into mason jars and I will freeze it. And what's nice about this, unlike the plain tomato sauce, is there's a flavor to it, adding more flavor to your meal. Now, if you don't have our package of beef stroganoff, that's what I'm going to add today. I'm going to read you off the ingredients. You just might have those in your house, and you can pop those in. Okay, so let me show this off. This one's on. Okay, and I need a spoon to stir this up. Let's see what I have here. Let's use a spatula. All right, mix this up. There. Nice. Okay, so we're going to use beef stroganoff. And the reason I chose beef stroganoff was because it came in my Epic box last month. And I wanted to try it out because they told me they had changed the beef stroganoff. So when you make beef stroganoff, you generally use sirloin tip steak. You cut it into pieces and you add it to the seasoning. A lot of people have been using ground beef, myself included, because it's far cheaper. But not just that, I really like the taste. So their new packaging has ground beef with the pasta there, the egg noodles. But I was looking at the ingredients and I wanted to know if they had made a change. Well, they have. The new beef stroganoff does not have a tomato flavor in it or the mustard. So those two flavors are out of there. And they do still have pretty well everything else, I believe. But so you know, if you're making this from home and you don't have beef stroganoff, you're looking for what spices do I need? So you add some onion. You're going to add a little bit of mushrooms to it. You could add whole mushrooms or taste of mushrooms. That's more for the stroganoff. I wouldn't worry about it in this one. Paprika, garlic, salt, and black pepper. If you have those spices in your home, you would be able to do this without the seasoning package. But if you do have the seasoning package, you add the seasoning to 3/4 cup of water for this recipe. If you're making beef stroganoff, it's different. When you make beef stroganoff, you add it to 1.5 cups of water. But this is going to be more flavorful, I would take it. Anyway, so we'll whisk that up, and it gets added in. Make sure you get it all in there, every bit of it. I like to scrape that right out so that I'm not missing any of the seasoning. Where's my knife? So this is called Baked Tortellini. So you can put your oven on at 450. So once you're finished putting everything together, you can throw it in the oven and melt the cheese on top. But it says to only do it for 3 to 4 minutes. But what I'm going to do, or actually, I wanted to mention my pan I have is Hard Rock, I think it is. Rock pans. They're great because this will go right in the oven, so I don't have to mess up another dish. And I can stick it right in the oven, and it will melt the cheese on the top. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm making this ahead for supper this week. So what I'm going to do is make it all up, throw it in a casserole dish, and then I will put it in the oven at 450 and let it cook and heat up. And just before it's ready, on the last 3-4 minutes, I will add my mozzarella cheese. So you also need 1/2 cube of cream cheese. This is a cup. We want 1/2 of it. So I'm going to open it up, and it's going to melt along with that ground beef. So I recommend slicing it up into little cubes. It will melt that much faster than just throwing in a full cube, a full 1/2 cup. So I'm going to take it, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice it into little cubes so it'll melt through there. There we go. Now you can use a cutting board. You could use a butter knife. I'm using a sharp knife. I know when I'm cutting it towards me, which is not the ideal solution, but is working for me. And as long as I pay attention, I won't lose a finger. All right, so put that in there. I'm going to let that melt through my casserole. So my water's starting to come to a boil. It only takes a few minutes for that tortellini, there we go, perfect, to cook up. And then you're going to stick it in with this ground beef. Let me get that in there. So you're going to pop that in. Be careful popping it in so the hot water doesn't splash up on you or stand back. What are some foods you like to make as comfort meals? I'm curious. What would satisfy you? I used my beef dip yesterday, threw it in the slow cooker with a big beef roast. And I will be honest, I used a sirloin tip. It was all they had. I was looking for a cheaper cut. I prefer sirloin tip. I'm not into the gristle and stuff. But anyway, I threw it in with the beef dip, and I got to tell you, it was beautiful. However, it's hard. You need to have the cheaper meats because they break up easier. So anyway, I threw it in the slow cooker, and I added my seasoning that I love, beef dip. And then I added it was ready. I used my meat separator and separated it up like a pulled pork and threw it on a crusty roll, and then added some melted mozzarella cheese. Now, that was fast. It was great. I think I'm going to do more of those on the weekend so that when I'm running about busy, I don't have to worry about cooking and there's a meal ready. So I'd be really curious on some crock pot recipes you like. We love chili. I love making chili, the pulled pork, the beef dip, and I love soups. I'm right into making soups for the winter, different soup every week. I love corn chowder. My favorite is beef and barley. That's got to be my most comforting soup, and I want to make that because we have this new broth that I really can't wait to use called beef broth. No, better than beef broth. And I was curious what it's like. So isn't that nice and creamy with a little tomato? It looks so good. So all I have to do is add that pasta once it's ready. Then I'm going to put it in a casserole dish, throw it in the oven when I'm ready at 450, cook it for probably about 20 minutes to heat it up because it is cooked right now, but I'm using it later this week. And then I will add some lots of cheese before it comes out. And then I'll probably have a little salad on the side, or maybe not. But if I were to make something to go with it, would be a little salad, or veggies and dip are big around here. Just having some dip and veggies on the table seems to go better. And then I find it lasts all week, the vegetables. And I'm just finding that salads are super pricey right now. So, but I still want to get the veggies into everybody. Okay, doesn't that look wonderful? Looks so good. I can't wait to add that. So it's going to take a few more minutes. I don't want to have you here holding you up, but this was our beef stroganoff I used today. Again, if you want to make it at home, you're looking at adding some onion, black pepper, garlic, paprika. You add those spices in there and you wouldn't have to have the package, but the package has everything in there and you wouldn't have to measure. I'm going to have to taste that and see how that tastes. And then I'll add the pasta. And actually, you could do different kinds of pasta. Like, why couldn't you put just a plain shell pasta in there with nothing in it? You wouldn't have to have a tortellini pasta, but this is great. And I want to try it with the cheese-filled ones because I think that would be really good. My son really loves this kind of pasta. Also, ravioli pasta might be good in that, especially if you could get a mini one. But even the big ones would be fine. Okay, so this is my class for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please reach out. And don't forget to join my YouTube channel. And you can watch these anytime you want. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful time. And I will see you next week.